We continue now at the top of Daf Kufnun Beis Amud Aleph and Meseches Bava Basra. This is Bava Basra Daf 152a. This Daf is sponsored by David Grossman. Thank you for your sponsorship. If you would like to sponsor another Daf, see the description box below and see the description box below to see how you can support this channel. The Gemara says, Itmar, it was stated the following Machlokas Amoraim, Matanas Shchivmeira. Let's say you have a gift that's given by a Shchivmeira, someone on his deathbed, and we're talking here where the person is giving away all of his property, so he doesn't need to do any formal kinyan. The simple statement alone should be sufficient, but nevertheless, Shekasubak kinyan, let's say a kinyan was written up in this situation, they did do a kinyan. What happens in such a case? Beirav Mishmei de Rav Amri, in the Academy of Rav, they said in the name of Rav, Arkave Atrei Rikshe, it's like riding upon two steeds, meaning he did something extra, he did something he didn't need to do, and that's an enhancement of the kinyan that improves the kinyan in some way. Ushmuel Amar, and Shmuel says, Lo Yadana Mai Odin Ba, I don't know exactly how to rule in this situation. And the Gemara explains the two opinions. Beirav Mishmei de Rav Amri, in the Academy of Rav, they said in the name of Rav, Arkave Atrei Rikshe, again, it's like riding upon two steeds. Harehi Kematnas Bori, what it means to say is that in some ways it is like a Matnas Bori, it's like a gift given by a healthy person. And Harehi Kematnas Shchimera, but also in other ways, it's like a Matnas Shchimera, it's like a gift given by someone on his deathbed. Harehi Kematnas Bori Shem Amareno Choser, it's like a Matnas Bori, meaning if the person recovers, he can't retract the gift. That's the idea, that it's like an enhancement, it's like a gift that was given in a fashion that the kinyan is even stronger, it's not going to retract, we're not going to go back on the kinyan if he recovers. And Harehi Kematnas Shchimera, but in other ways it's like a Matnas Shchimera, it's like a gift from someone on his deathbed, because by a Shchimera specifically, Shem Amar Halva'aso Leploni, if a person says that his loan, let's say the person says his loan should go to so-and-so, meaning he's owed money and he wants to transfer that debt, that someone else should be able to collect that debt. So generally speaking, if you have a debt, let's say it's not written up in a shtar, you need to have a maimet shloshtan, you need to have all three parties. But by a shchimera, you don't need that, and over here as well, you don't need that if he simply says that his loan should go to so-and-so, halva'aso leploni, we say that his loan goes to ploni, it goes to that person, and that is effective. So according to Rav, essentially it's an enhancement of a regular matnas shchimera. Shmuel Amar, and Shmuel says, Lo Yadana Mai Odin Ba, I don't know how to rule in this case. What that means to say is, Shema Lo Gomer Lahaknoso Ela B'Shtar. Maybe by having a kinyan over here, what he means to say is that the kinyan should only take effect with the shtar, La'achar Misa, of course. Ve'ein shtar La'achar Misa, of course, there can't be a document after the person dies. You can't do a kinyan after he dies by Kosov Bakinyan, by writing a kinyan when you didn't need to do it. Maybe it's showing that his intention is he wants to make the actual physical kinyan, he wants to make that kinyan with the shtar after his death, and that will not be effective, and therefore Shmuel says in this case the Manas Shchimera will not work. And the Gemara continues, V'rami derav ad Rav u'deshmuel ad Shmuel. Now we have a contradiction within Rav, and we have a contradiction within Shmuel. Teshalach Ravin mishmei de Rabbi Avo, because Ravin sent in the name of Rabbi Avo. Havayodi shesholach Rabbi Lazar legola mishum Rabbeinu. You should know that Rabbi Lazar sent to the exile in the name of our Rebbe. That refers to Rav. Shchimera sha'amar. If a shchimera says kisvu tenu mana leploni v'meis, he says write and give 100 dinar to so and so and he dies. Ein kozvin v'nosin, we don't write it and give it. Shema lo gamar la'aknoso ela b'shtar, because maybe the intention was to make the kinyan with the document. Ve'ein shtar la'achar misan, you can't have a shtar after death. That's exactly the opposite. That's really what Shmuel said before. It seems like it's not effective when the shchimera tried to do this kind of kinyan where he wanted to write it up and give it. And again, Rav said before that it's an enhancement. It's actually an even better kinyan. That's the contradiction within Rav. V'yamar Rav Yehuda Mar Shmuel, and Rav Yehuda said that Shmuel said on that case, Hilchasa Kosvin Benosnin, that the halach is on the contrary. We write it up and we give it. It is effective. That's a contradiction to what Shmuel said before. So Kasha de Rav ad Rav, Kasha de Shmuel ad Shmuel. We have a question, Rav against Rav. We have a contradiction within Shmuel as well. And the Gemara answers, de Rav ad Rav lo Kasha, the contradiction within Rav, that's not difficult. Ha de kanu mine, because in one case we're talking where they made a kinyan, and ha de lo kanu mine. In the other case we're talking where a kinyan was not made. And the Rashbam explains, ha de kanu mine, in the case at the top of the Amud, the first case of Rav, that's talking where a kinyan sudar was made. Kida amran shekasa ba kinyan, that's what it said over there, that there was a kinyan written in. V'hu adin le kinyan below ksiv. And the Rashbam points out the same is true if a kinyan would be made, even if nothing was written. It's not important that there's a document. The point is that they made a kinyan sudar, and the idea is that a kinyan sudar in general is usually used used in order to enhance, in order to strengthen a kinyan. V'kevan da'akni b'kinyan liyapos kochu hudavat. Since they made this kind of a kinyan, it shows that he's trying to strengthen the gift. That's why Rav says what he says in the first case. And in the second case, again, the language of the Gemara was Shchimera Shamar Kisvu Tenu Mana Leploni. The Shchimera simply said, write and give it over. There was no kinyan suda that was made, and that's why Rav says that in that situation, it is not effective. And the Gemara continues, the Shmuel Kasha, the contradiction within Shmuel is also not difficult, but miyapes kocho, because in the second case, where again the Shchimera says kisvu tenu mana leploni, it's clear from the way the document is written up that this was b'miyapes kocho. This was in order to enhance, in order to strengthen the kinyan, and that's why Shmuel said in that case that it is effective. And the Rashbam explains b'miyapes kocho kedalakamon. We're going to explain this later on. The kanina minei mosif al matana da. What he says is we're doing this in addition to the gift that's given. It's clear from the way it's phrased that this is to enhance the person's kinyan, that now he has this document. So therefore we say Yisur Lashon liyafos kochu. That extra language is really just to enhance the strength of the kinyan. V'achanami b'tzava. Also, the same is true over here by the Shchimera's instruction. Sha'amar kisvu tenu. When he says write it and give it, perush yichtavu b'shtar ahu yipoy koach. It means that they should write into the shtar this kind of language that strengthens the kinyan. Yipoy koach, the kinyan, the mosif al matanta. This enhancement of the kinyan, that it's in addition to the gift. And the Gemara continues, Yosef Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak Achore de Rava. Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak was sitting behind Rava. V'Yosef Rava Kami de Rav Nachman, and Rava was sitting in front of Rav Nachman. Kaboy Minei, and he asked him the following question: Miyomar Shmuel Shemalo Gomer La'aknos Ela B'Shtar. Did Shmuel really say that maybe the person's intention by making this kinyan with the shtar was that the kinyan should only be affected through the shtar? V'Ein Shtar La'achar Misa. And then in such a case, the Manas Shchimera is not going to be affected because there is no shtar after the person dies. But did Shmuel really say that? V'amar Rav Yehuda Mar Shmuel, but didn't Rav Yehuda say that Shmuel said Shchimera shekasav kol nechasav la'acherim? If a Shchimera writes over all of his property to others, afal pisha kanu miyado, even though they made a kinyan, Amar Choser, we say that if he recovers, he is able to retract, and we see from this that the kinyan is in fact effective, and we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Kuf Nun Beis Amud Beis.